welcome to the Lighten Up podcast with Lauren Polly, your invitation for living on the lighter side of life. I am Lauren Polly, and I am delighted you have chosen to join me today for episode 231, Finding Your Way, Happily and Luckily. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite tools for being able to navigate life, living, anything and everything in between in a way that is actually peaceful, in a way that's pleasant, and in a way that doesn't get you locked into the logical mind, the worry, the stress, and sometimes those patterns that just become so routine, so ingrained that it's really hard to create change. And the definition of insanity is basically doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So it's kind of a fascinating thing to me to look around at a lot of people who desire to evolve and grow and change. The thing is, they're so locked into this pattern of normalcy, this pattern of the way things have been done, and yet they're trying to change something, but at the same time they're doing the same thing they've always done. They have very little wiggle room to actually innovate and create something new and something different. And again, that is the version of insanity. That is the thing that actually goes, I really, 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 really want this to change, but I don't actually have the capacity to do so. I don't have the bandwidth to do so. And what I find so much in a lot of people that I work with is that they're able to create that bandwidth and that space a little bit, but they still have so many routine to-dos. They still have so many stressors of things that they have to get done, their responsibilities, and they're so fixed in their ways of having to go about doing that, that they don't ever have the full bandwidth that's possible to really take their life and living in a different direction. Now, if you've been looking at changing anything in your life or creating something new or just wanting to, again, evolve and explore a bit, it's my favorite thing, not necessarily with a destination in mind, just knowing that I'd like bigger and better and something different, and also to add a depth of layers to my life so that I'm not just living in one vein or in one way, but I actually get to have a varied experience while I'm here on this planet. If you've been looking at anything like that and have been getting a little bit frustrated about trying to change it or to move forward or to actually, again, have that bandwidth to put energy and resources towards it, I'm hoping this will assist you greatly. I was reading, of course, Harry Potter. If you've listened to my last couple episodes, I've had some nuggets here and there. I am a huge bookworm, and there's nothing that makes me happier than getting lost in a book and to have 7 amazing books like this to get lost into back to back. I've been having a really fun month with it so far. But it's interesting. I was reading one passage where Harry takes this lucky potion. And when he takes it, he just has this sense of infinite possibilities. He is not like euphoric and jumping out of his body or running around manically. He is described in the book as being at peace. And the ability to kind of like navigate forward of like, which way should I turn? Which way should I turn next? Isn't a to-do. It isn't a responsibility. It isn't a need. It is literally these lightning quick lit up possibilities of, wow, that sounds really pleasant. He's looking for someone in particular, and for some reason he just thinks it sounds very pleasant to walk by the vegetable patch. Wouldn't that be lovely? And as he does, guess what? The person he was looking for just happened to be there out of their routine. Happenstance, so to speak. I know a lot of us run into that in our day-to-day life of, wow, wasn't that lucky? Wow, wasn't that synchronous right there to be able to just find what it was I was looking for? How often do we think that is something like with this Harry Potter reference of I must have just woken up lucky today, instead of actually acknowledging that, you know what, I was probably aware. And this was me actually listening to my awareness, to my intuition, to those lightning quick direction things that we get from the universe that says turn left instead of your normal right here and see where you go. Being able to kind of read this passage, it was fascinating because the energy was one of that lit up possibilities, but there was also just that sense of peace of, I may not be going in the direction that I thought I would. I may not be going in the logical direction or in the direction that other people think I should be going, but at the same time, I feel so peaceful with it. And it just seems like it would be a pleasant experience, so I'm going to go for it. That sense of peace is something that I know personally I always look for as I am navigating life. And to hear something like that, to read something like that, and to kind of put it in this context of, wow, number one, how can we harness that more to continue to lead our life in a more expansive direction? But also, where can we acknowledge where we've done that before? Where have you already taken this quote unquote lucky potion and just known where to go? Where have you been following what is pleasurable and peaceful and light and spacious for you innately? And where has that led to surprising experiences, to new awarenesses, to new connections, and maybe has actually kind of veered your life on a different path than you had set off before? Take a look. Where can you acknowledge that? And where can you go with it now moving forward in the future? What if, again, that acknowledging of what you've already done can actually lead to more? And where can you actually start to get more conscious about utilizing this moving forward? And with that, we're going to dive into my favorite tool to do so. This is a tool from Access Consciousness called Light and Heavy. If you are not new to this tool and you've been around the block with it a time or two, I just invite you to listen to this with beginner ears and beginner's mind to see what something new you can uncover and explore. This is a tool that is really based in giving you a practical way to tap into your intuition, into your awareness, and to actually use to steer your life into greater possibilities. And in my view of it, especially after reading this amazing passage with Harry Potter and his lucky potion, I went, oh my gosh, that's what it is. It's giving you this outward appearance of luck, of wow, how did you know to go there? And how did you have a door just magically swing open? How did you not meet roadblock after roadblock? How did you meet the connection that actually lets you go into greater and greater territory? It's because you were able to actually follow the lightness and guide your life practically and consciously from that place. So what is it? It is simply being able to tune into the energy, to the sensation, to the feeling, if you want to go into kind of more of a body sensation with it, whenever you think about doing something. And it's not so much that you think about doing something for a long, long time and try to figure it out. Is this a good choice? Is this a bad choice? What have I done before? It's not that you get all heady with that. Whenever we get very heady with trying to choose something, things get even more heady. If you've noticed, things get a bit denser and we get a bit lost in that stress cycle of the mind. Instead, it's allowing that lightning fast awareness that we have to come in. As soon as you think about meeting someone, about going a certain way, about choosing a new possibility, about having a conversation, about anything really, left, right, forward at this crossroads, whenever you think about doing it, if it makes you feel lighter, if it gives you a sense of space, if it pops open a sense of pleasure, if it brings about that peaceful sensation as you move through it, for me, a lot of times it actually feels like a pop of interest. I just get super curious of like, I wonder what's over there. Any of those things that actually spark something in you that lighten your load, give you a sense of clarity and peace and ease, that's something that's a yes for you. That's something that's true for you when you think about it, and it actually gives you a sense of lightness. In any of those variabilities that lightness can show up, and it's different for everyone. It's also different the more and more you explore the tool. So again, if you've practiced this before, I invite you to dive in deeper. What other sensations of lightness can your awareness actually show you as you move through? But whenever that comes, when you think about doing something, that's a yes for you. That's something to lean into. That's something to follow. Again, it's like Harry Potter kind of like going in this one direction of like, I can't see the final destination, but I just know that this step feels right. This step feels good. I'm not going to get lost in my mind. I'm not going to get heady about it. I took my lucky potion this morning. Thank you very much. I'm just going to choose to go here. And as he chooses to go there, he gets this another little thought in his head that goes, wow, the vegetable patch just sounds lovely and pleasant. I'm going to go that way instead of this way. That's all that it is. It's actually being aware in the moment, being present with yourself, being present with your surroundings, being present with how you are actually sensing your surroundings, how you're feeling in the moment, and allowing yourself to have the agility, really, the flexibility to turn in a different direction, even mid-path. If, when you think about doing something, it makes you feel heavy, it brings a sense of suffocation, gets that little weird feeling in the pit of your belly, makes you feel more stressed, makes your mind start to race, whatever that is, that's something that's not true for you. That's something that's a no. So if you're looking at like how to spend a weekend and one thing feels just light and spacious and easeful, and the other feels really heavy and dense, which one are you going to choose? And the heavy and dense is a fascinating thing. Now, this is more kind of a beginner's conversation. It's a really good way to kind of practice light and heavy, kind of your day-to-day choices. For those of you who've been working with this for a while, I invite you to challenge yourself that when things are heavy, when they actually do feel really dense, start asking yourself more questions. Is that heaviness yours? Are you aware of something else involved in that mix? Is there something that's required that if you add to that thing that you're thinking about would actually lighten the situation? There are ways to go about this where you can get a little bit more nuance the more and more you're practiced at it. But I find so many people don't really dive into this in a really practical way, especially in this very easeful and light and lucky and pleasurable way that we're talking about. And also the lightning quick way that we're talking about, where again, we don't have to get lost in our head. It's not about following the logical mind. And remember what I said at the beginning of this podcast. So many people can't change or find it hard to change or find it really difficult and slow to evolve and expand and create something new, or even just to enjoy what they had, because most of us are stuck in patterns that we think have to be so. We think they are the way that we have to do it. Or we've gone so unconscious to it that we don't even realize it. So we only give ourselves that agility an hour a day, 10 minutes a day, maybe a little bit just once a week. What if instead this was an easy way and an easy invitation to just start adding in more conscious choice, more presence with yourself, and more of an invitation for the pleasurable, peaceful lightness to actually be with you moment to moment as you navigate through. The little choices that we make, the quote unquote little choices, the conversations, the left, right, or straight while we walk along the path, the things that we don't really think about as choice, we just think about as routine. If you start adding this into it, you may be surprised at how peaceful and pleasurable your life becomes, and how you may actually start taking roads that haven't been traveled by you before. Perhaps in your mind's eye, never would have been traveled by you before. And what pleasure and new possibilities may you find along the way? I invite you to dig in and play wherever this feels light and easeful and delicious for you. Again, especially if you put it into your routine and start shaking things up, adding some more presence, some more conscious choice to it, you may be really surprised what the overarching quality of your life actually starts to feel like to you. It's been a game changer for me, and it's been a lovely inspiration reading about Harry Potter doing something similar. I invite you to play with it as well. Have an amazing week, and as always, I will chat with you next Tuesday.